Good morning, good afternoon, or wherever you're joining from, hello, and welcome to Soul and Sky Field Notes, the Alaska Tapes. My name is Kate Okenatez-Mahoney, and I'm the owner of Soul and Sky Weddings. I am super excited because today we are talking about all the beautiful things with Natasha Price, the owner of Paper Peony, floral designer specializing in elopements based in Anchorage. Natasha is one of the expert voices that this series features because we are bringing information and inspiration to couples just like you about how to create a magical, unforgettable elopement or romantic travel across this amazing place of Alaska. So without further ado, let's hop in and meet Natasha. Natasha, I am so excited to have you here. Natasha from Paper Peony, who is a floral expert here in Alaska. Natasha, you are an interesting friend because you do florals, but you specialize in elopements, which, as you can appreciate, is near and dear to my heart. So why don't you take a quick second, introduce yourself, and tell us about your passion?
Sure. Well, I am a lifelong Alaskan. I was born in here and have never left. So I know this place really, really well. And I've been in the floral industry since I was 14 years old. So I have a lot of floral experience and know what works and what doesn't in Alaska. And it's important to know those things because, especially for if you're getting married on top of a glacier, and we can talk
Yes.
about more in a little bit. I started my business probably, oh, I don't know. It's been more than 10 years. I've kind of lost count. I think officially since 2014, but I've always had floristry as like a back pocket business. And
Mhm.
I developed my LLC in 2014. And then I did primarily weddings, like full weddings by myself, which was a lot of work. It's a lot of energy that I don't currently have anymore. But one of the silver linings about COVID times is, during COVID, like every vendor in this industry, we had to pivot because
Mhm.
people could not gather. And that meant all weddings were canceled for the most part. So there was a moment of reflection and change. And one of the things that the silver linings that came from that is this elopement concept, which
Mhm.
exists for COVID times, but it really, really got accentuated during this time because people still needed to get married and they still wanted to honor that and have that special ceremony, but couldn't necessarily gather with a large group of people. So going up to Alaska and getting married on the top of a glacier with just a couple of people, like that's what people started doing. And I really fully embraced that because it worked so well with who I am and how my business is runs because I'm just a business of me.
Mhm.
It's usually an elopement is usually just a bridal bouquet and a boutonniere, and
Mhm.
I just really love making them.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think too, it's kind of rare because I know that, and I love all my floral friends, but I know that the margin is not there on a bridal bouquet and a boutonniere, right? And so one of the things that I treasure about being able to work with you is it is a labor of love. Like you put your signature and a little bit of the Natasha soul into each piece, and you feel that, and I love it. And so I think for couples who are looking for elopement florals, like it is a pretty cool gift to have somebody like you in a place as magical as Alaska. So actually, that is a really interesting segue because I've had some controversial conversations about florals and elopements. And I will say there seem to be two schools of thought. One is that you're eloping. A, why are you doing all that? Right. And then B is the other school of thought, which is you're going all the way to Alaska. You're choosing to have this adventurous elopement. Obviously, you should have beautiful florals. So help me settle this conflict. Like, is it doing too much or is it a necessity?
Well, to each their own. If you're not into flowers, you don't have to have flowers at your elopement. But I'm a florist, so of course I'm going to emphasize like flowers enhance the experience. It's a little bit of bringing tradition into the modern concept of the elopement by having
Hmm.
a bridal a boutonniere, but also it brings some contrast to the photos. So, yes, you have this majestic landscape behind you of
Yeah,
Alaska, of glaciers, of waterfalls, wherever you're headed on your adventures, but having this either whether it's an all white bouquet or a colorful bouquet, it brings some focus to your photos, and the photos are part of the reason. I mean, like if you're going to elope on the top of a glacier, yes, you're going to remember it forever, but you want to be able to see that memory. And I think
right.
that company the photos, it's really special to have fresh flowers if you can.
Yeah. I I'm partial, I agree, and also too, just from a practical aspect, people always feel awkward in photos, like, "Okay,
You
well,
don't
what
know
am
what
I
to do with their
doing?"
hands.
They don't know what to do with their hands. So, spoiler alert, pro tip, having a bouquet allows you to have something to hold, something to swing, something to, right? Something to interact with so you have a very natural anchor point for your hands. So, if for
It's
that
also
reason
a
alone,
wonderful, it's also a great transition of bringing something natural into the natural background.
right?
It's brings some continuity into it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely agree. So, as far as elopement flowers go, you said you typically do a bouquet and a boutonniere. What are other floral options for couples who are eloping? How other ways have you seen it done?
We could do a flower crown for the bride. That's always really fun because they I use really long-lasting flowers for all my floral pieces because you are going on these adventures and you're going into the elements. You don't know what
Hmm.
Alaska weather is going to bring you, so you I try to prepare by incorporating long-lasting flowers. So a flower crown is always a great choice. Also, like instead of having an arch, I've done like almost I call it a sweetheart table garland. Like it's just a
Hmm.
short 3-foot long garland made primarily of greens and filler flowers that are really long lasting with pops of fresh flowers. And that's really versatile because it can be put on a yurt as an arch. It
Yeah,
could be put on the cake. If you have a cake, you could put around to the cake and have it be a little centerpiece. So that's always a really great thing to add if you're into adding a little bit more floral. Cake flowers are also great if you're going to have a small cake
yeah,
at your elopement. You can adorn them with just a little cake topper. I recommend having a cake topper rather than putting flowers directly onto a cake, only in that you don't know how those flowers commercially have been treated.
right.
It's safer if it's on a little piece of cardboard and you can just set it on and take it off.
Yeah,
Also, I love making, floral hair pieces, so I have
yeah,
hair
yeah.
flare. Hair flare is my really corny name for, little pieces of floral, almost like a tiny boutonniere with an extra extended wire tucked into your hair, so I make, like, 6 of them, and they're all a little different. Then the hairstylist can put them in however and bend them every which way, or I can do a
Beautiful.
traditional flower comb as well
Yeah,
if you're not into a flower crown, and that just gets tucked right in, you know? So there's just small accoutrements that are really good. I say small because there are weight limitations on helicopter rides. Necessarily realistic to pack a lot of flowers into an elopement because you may not be
yeah.
able to take them.
Yeah. Well, weight limitations and space, right?
Yeah, it can be
And fresh
limited.
flowers, obviously, you want to treat them a bit with a delicate hand. So the space constriction is definitely real. I am a huge fan of flowers. Actually, fun fact, you and I were published in Junebug Weddings for a vow renewal that had really cool flowers. So we'll link that in the show notes so people can go check it out. And we did use that garland that you were kind of talking about, the
Mhm.
table garland, but we used it like 50 different ways
I know I
with
loved seeing that, how you used it so many different ways. It's so versatile.
yeah. And I think that just goes to show like how far your investment can go, right? It's not just a flower that you're going to look at one time. One day, one moment it's draped above the arch of your doorway on your tent or your yurt. The next it's decorating your ceremony space. The next it's a portable cake meadow, right? To create a beautiful nest for that little cake that flew in so carefully on the helicopter. The next moment it is a garland on a dinner table. The next it's decorating the edge of your bed, right? The headboard of your bed and the tent. Like
So many
that is
options.
one piece,
You
like
just bring a
five or
lot
six different ways.
you just bring a lot of zip ties,
Yeah.
and you're good.
Yes.
Zip ties are
Yeah.
my friend.
Yes. Absolutely. Although we didn't zip tie it to anything the whole time I used it.
No kidding.
No kidding. We just draped it and
That's
then
amazing.
kind of like braced it and it was perfect. It wasn't windy though, which
Yeah.
sometimes not always true in Alaska. Like, you know. So
Yeah,
we
it
got lucky.
can get windy, that's for sure.
Yeah. Um, Flower crowns. Let's talk a little bit about that. So those are beautiful. Do you see couples choosing a flower crown instead of a bouquet, or is it a flower crown with a bouquet? Do you see a typical use?
Usually it's added on to the bouquet and boutonniere as just like an added piece. I like flower crowns because you don't have to work hard to get them to look good with your hair. If you're gonna
Hmm.
wear your hair long, usually. If you're having your hair up, then I wouldn't necessarily recommend a crown unless it was maybe a partial crown where the flowers are off to the side.
Yeah.
If you're wearing your hair down, you just plunk it on, and those things, you can just carry them anywhere. Like, I made a flower crown for a fellow florist for her, 5th year anniversary wedding anniversary this year, and she was gonna take photos with her husband, and I made a full flower crown for her, so it was really, really big. It's super colorful. And I went to the state fair a week later, and I spotted her wearing the crown, and she's like, "I have been wearing this nonstop everywhere." Like, she just took care of it really well,
Yeah.
between when she stored it in the fridge overnight and stuff, but it kept for, like, over a week, and it was just, like, the best part of my day was seeing this crown getting worn to its full potential, like, and it's really great for elopements because you can just carry it wherever. It's gonna it's gonna last.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think flower crowns are great because there's a lot of times when you're doing an adventurous type elopement in Alaska where you kind of need your hands for things. Maybe you're driving a UTV and you're obviously not going to be holding your bouquet. But if you're wearing a flower crown, it's really, or even just a hair comb or a little piece, right? You're still adorned while you're in practical movement. Or when you're hiking and need your hands a little bit more, that's a huge opportunity to still feel and look beautiful with that little bit of adornment, but practically have your hands free.
And I've also seen it used in, like, flat lays. I don't know if that's something we need to define.
Yes.
Where photographers do, like, a bird's eye view of different little elements, like the ribbon and, like, her shoes or, whatever, like the
The rings of owl books.
Val books, right? So you can take your comb and put your crown and add some extra floral elements into that, and it's,
Yeah,
again, just another way to, like, getting the most out of your florals when you are, limited because you
yeah,
are limited in space.
yeah. Pro tip, you can also do that with boutonnieres. And
Mhm.
so that's why, like, don't skimp on boutonnieres. Like the
Yeah.
the element of your couple that needs to, also feel flair should have a boutonniere if that's what they want.
I love men with
Also
flowers.
beautiful.
I love when the groom holds the bridal bouquet. I'm just sold. I
Right.
love it.
I'm such a sucker for it. It's so cute. So we've seen the rise of things like lapel flare and, things like that. Is that something that you've done? Is that something you're excited to try? Is it hard for elopements? It's a very specialty piece. So I want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I haven't had an opportunity to make the lapel flowers. It's basically like it's the entire lapel of the suit has been
Hmm.
it's like, the industry tends to use KT tape, athletic tape, to,
Okay, yeah.
to glue the flowers to it so that it just sticks right on there. But I've not had an opportunity to make one yet. It seems like it would be really fun. I don't know how practical it would be for an elopement, if especially if you're taking the suit off at any point. You have to think about that with wearables, is like how much transition is happening, right? Like
Hmm.
the wrist corsage, are you putting a jacket on taking it off? Like, so I wonder how much wear and tear it would be on an adventure elopement if it was
Hmm.
like something where you're not going to be taking off the suit and wearing it the whole time. I think it would be fine.
Yeah.
But I also love the pocket square, the floral pocket square.
Yes.
That's another one where it's just a little more florals for the men, which I think is really lovely, than just a boutonniere. For a boutonniere, I usually am just using 2 to 3 very small flowers with some greenery. But a
Hmm.
floral boutonniere, it goes in through the whole. It goes into the whole pocket. It's like a pocket square,
Yeah.
and so there's like this much room to get creative and have that extra bit of florals.
Yeah. And they hold up better because you can attach it to like a sturdier backing,
Yeah,
right?
they're probably about as sturdy as a boutonniere. I put mine on. I've made quite a few, and my son is a Pokemon card collector, so he lets me use his stiff sleeves for those. So it is really sturdy.
It's perfect.
Yeah, and it just slips right in. It's
Yeah.
really convenient.
Yeah, I like that. I would say too, one of the things that I have learned out in the field with adventure elopements is I almost always, so all of my elopements are a day and a half or longer because we're really like out experiencing. And so I always have my couples order a second boutonniere because without fail, right, you're wearing a backpack or taking the jacket on and off or whatever
Mhm.
happens, right? Life happens to the flowers too. And so having that second boutonniere is a huge safety thing so that on day two, you're not, you know, trying to pin it back together or fix a broken stem, or you just have a fresh piece ready to go. And if you don't need it, well, then you have extra detail florals. So,
Yeah, sure. And also, it It I wire my boutonnieres, and that's like an old school technique that I don't know if all florists still do this because I learned this technique when I was a teenager. I actually wire through all of the main stems, like the roses, and if I'm using mini carnations, for example, or
yeah,
anything that's gonna snap.
yeah,
And I tape those so they are sturdier, but they can that's the first to go. Like, if I see wedding florals where I can tell when the photos were taken, like, at the end of the day because my boutonnieres are sometimes ragged because 'cause they've hugged so many people that, like,
right.
it's like, okay, yeah, they're not meant to last forever, so it is really good advice to have more than one if you're going on a multi-day adventure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't thought about the hugging, right? Because so many of my couples elope, and so it's just them hugging each other,
Right.
not an endless reception line, but that makes a ton of sense. So let's talk about varieties of flowers because Alaska is beautiful in how remote it is, but it is also challenging in how remote it is. So Pinterest is a beautiful thing. And you talk about actually let's pause there. You talk about this in the first or second episode of your podcast, which is Alaska Flower Talk. Is that what it's called?
Flower Talk Alaska, you were close.
Flower Talk Alaska, which listener friends, go check that out because it is so insightful. It's Natasha, Kasara, and who's the third? Talene, three floral friends who all create absolute magic in Alaska, sitting and talking about all things florals. And it's so educational, insightful, and funny. It's obvious that you guys are besties, and it's just a really natural ebb and flow of conversation and so educational. So definitely we'll drop a link in the show notes so people can go check it out. But to that, you guys did do a segment on AI and Pinterest and some of the challenges. And I personally have experienced that with couples looking for things in Alaska or expectations. So let's set the record straight about what are florals like in Alaska? What should you expect?
Well, it is a lot about managing expectations. We have to educate our clients a lot, and we don't do it to make them feel bad or put them down. It's truly that we want to provide them with the best possible product based on their desires and
Hmm.
on limitations. So, we have a really great resource of commercial flowers. We can get flowers from all over the world. But there's that extra leg of travel getting up here. So the floral industry is really interesting. Flowers get shipped primarily up to Miami for the most part from all over the world, and then they get dispersed all over the country. So they're coming up to probably Seattle, and
Hmm.
then they're getting flown up to Alaska. So it is a long journey, and flowers have to be in out of water in boxes going all over the country for long periods of time. Like, I think somewhere upwards of 2 weeks, they're without water. It just
That is
depends.
wild.
Yeah. And so the floral industry, I believe, over time has bred flowers to last longer for that reason, because they're getting shipped all over the country. Like, fun fact, the stargazer lily was developed because most other lilies, the way they grow, when you packed them in boxes, the heads would snap. So they made them so that they would lie vertically in boxes so that they wouldn't break in shipment.
What? That's
Yeah,
wild.
it's really, really interesting. So anyway,
Yeah.
all of that being said, getting things up to Alaska, it it can happen, but you have to kind of reformat it a little bit. We don't always have what you see on Pinterest. And
Hmm.
Pinterest can be really deceiving for a lot of reasons, and a lot of what you're seeing now, especially with AI. But let's like put
Hmm.
AI aside. What you see on on the algorithm. What the algorithm is serving you on Pinterest, a lot of times you don't know when this photo was taken or where in the world these flowers were. Like Australia has completely different supply. We can't get all the flowers from Australia. Um, South Africa and Russia, like there's flowers that go all over the world that we don't always have access to. So
Mhm.
what you're seeing is sometimes there's designer blooms, kind of like designer clothing. There are designer blooms, and we can sometimes get them here, but it's really expensive. Like,
Yeah.
and the shipping is so expensive because it has to get overnighted direct to Alaska Air Cargo. I have to drive to the airport to go get that, and it's like it's a lot, and
It yeah.
it's a
You
risk
have
too.
to be really, really committed to want a designer bloom.
Yes,
Absolutely.
especially if you're just going for an elopement. So my limitation is that if you're just purchasing a bridal bouquet and a boutonniere from me, I'm not able to special order a specific bloom because I have to order 10 bunches of something for my wholesaler to order it. So I am reliant on the variety that my wholesalers bring in. So that is one limitation that I've brought on it myself. I could go with an outside wholesaler
Mhm.
supplier, but it means that it would be much more expensive to buy one bunch of designer roses and have them shipped up here for one event. It's not
Yeah.
realistic. If you were having like a luxe wedding here where you were getting bridesmaids bouquets and centerpieces and an archway and all that, then it would be totally different story. I could special order these specialty blooms, but because it's just a small order, I am sort of beholden to what my wholesalers carry, which they have a great variety. And if you
Mhm.
know what to work with, then I can make something very beautiful for you. I was just going to continue with the flower varieties that I use. So on top of having some limitations, there's a farm fresh flowers. That's something you often see in photos nowadays online, which is like dahlias and cosmos. These like
Mm.
floaty flowers that are delicate and kind of ethereal. They're
Yeah.
really beautiful, but those came from a farm and they were grown fresh, picked, most likely purchased in the same place that they were grown, or they haven't gone very far, in other words. So we don't have that availability throughout most of the year unless there are farms in Alaska growing them. So we do have that availability for just this tiny, tiny window in
Yeah.
the late summer. So that is another limitation because I know this wildflower look is really popular, and I get it a lot of requests from out of state clients saying, I want a bouquet that features Alaska wildflowers. Well, the one thing you have to think about is who's getting this wildflower, right? Like
Right.
not like I can go to a store and buy a wildflower. It means I have to go out to the wild and
And
pick.
forage a flower.
Yes. And so that's also my time, but also most of these wildflowers, as soon as you cut them, they're not going to survive. They don't hold
Right.
up. There's only a couple of varieties that I use that can hold up out of water, and that's a huge factor for an elopement bouquet, and it
Mhm.
is a deciding factor of what product I'm going to use. I'm not necessarily going to use a garden rose for a bridal bouquet because garden roses are sensitive. They don't do well when they're being treated aggressively, and sometimes you just have to be aggressive with an elopement bouquet. So I'm going
You
to use a
do. Being
standard rose.
shoved in a backpack, the outside of a
Yeah.
backpack for hiking, like,
I often
the
have
struggle is real.
bouquets just, like, crammed in the backpack, and that's fine. So that information is helpful to me when I'm figuring out what to put in a bridal bouquet. So, I don't put delicate flowers into my elopement, bouquets.
Mhm.
I wanna be sure that this is gonna be durable. And so that's another element is, like, yes, we may get, some of these beautiful flowers you see online, but I'm not gonna wanna use them for your elopement bouquet because they're not gonna look good. They're just
Yeah.
gonna sad.
I'm trying to think. Kasara will probably kick me in the shins for this, but her favorite flower, what's her favorite
Ranunculus.
flower?
She
Which
loves
ones?
the ranunculus, which it's a tricky
Cannot.
flower for a I don't wanna speak ill of her favorite flower, but I have a hard time. I most likely would not include it. It's a lot of labor if you want to, make a ranunculus survive. They are hardy flowers if you keep them in a vase of water and they're very fresh. They can last a really, really long time. But if you're gonna put them in a bridal bouquet, you have to wire every single one, and the petals themselves can be delicate, so if it's on a cold glacier, I am
Yeah.
always a little bit too much of a risk for me, and I know
Yeah.
that Sarah has incorporated them, and her designs are beautiful, and I
Her
know it's
designs are beautiful, and you have to know that that's a risk when you get it
sure.
because they can be kind of wilty and sad if they're out of water for a little bit.
Or they even come that way. Sometimes the stems are broken and there's nothing I can do. And it's like, I need a reliable product
Yeah.
because I I'm only getting one bunch of each, one or two bunches of each floral. I want them to look as good as possible. So it is a risk with
The
ranunculus.
other one that I've found too is really difficult for me personally. Again, I know everybody has their favorites, and there are ways that you can certainly try and do this. I love dahlias. I love how beautiful they are, but maybe it's just me, but I have found them to be finicky friends. Like they are so thirsty. It's like
It's not
even
just
if
you.
you can't miss them and make them happy, you can't like being in the cool doesn't necessarily make them happy. It's like I don't
That's
know what
another
makes them
that's
happy. Is
another
that
flower.
just me?
Well, it depends. It's another flower where if they are being shipped up here from the lower 48, they're just not usually going to last as long. But if you purchase them from a flower farmer during the season of the dahlia season and they're cut like a day before you use them, they're going to last. It's just they a little bit more sensitive. That's true. They're kind of tricky to design with sometimes because the way the heads grow, they're like this.
Mhm.
Right? So they don't wanna splay out and vertically, so you have to kinda put them on the sides of the
They
bouquets
want
so
to
that
stare you in the face.
it's hard to get them in the middle to it's like these are like the little things in my head. So, like, they can be a tricky flower to design with, and I really only recommend using them if it's dahlia season, which is usually, like, late August to mid-September.
Okay. Late August to mid-September for dahlia. Okay. They're beautiful.
So
I think that's the
beautiful.
thing with flowers too is like you have to realize that I mean, you buy it alive, but it's in its natural like decline stage. And so it's going to get bruised, you're going to lose petals, and that's just the nature, especially with how we treat our bouquets, which is why I'm so appreciative of like how you build for length and sturdiness and like durability because we are abusive to flower friend. I mean, they see a lot. And so being okay with it being disheveled, things happening, it's just part of the story of
Well, sure,
your
and
alum experience.
it's part of, like, the personality of your clients too. The ones who are
Mhm.
taking this leap to get married in this remote setting, they're the type of folks that generally aren't expecting absolute perfection necessarily. I mean, you are giving yourself up to the elements of Alaska. You don't know what adventure may come based on the weather, based on like, you just
Right.
don't know. So if you're willing to come up here and get married in this remote, splendid place, then yeah, we get clients that are willing, to let the artist do her work and pick the best flowers that we can pick.
I think that flexibility is so important. What you just said there, to share the vision and then let the artist create from that.
Yeah,
You
and
can
I
have
like
preferences and wishes, but
yes.
understanding that that will be applied in a way that's going to produce the best possible outcome for you as a client is really, really important to trust your artist.
Yeah, for instance, if not all florists operate the same way, but I like to provide like a roadmap saying, this is the time of year you're getting married. These are the colors and maybe flower types you're looking for. This is what I would plan to put into your bouquet, like the
Mhm.
primary flowers, secondary flowers, greenery. But, I might have to make substitutions. So if somebody's looking for quicksand roses, right? This is a very popular rose. It's a very, very blush, almost beige. It's so beautiful. I don't
Mhm.
put elopement bouquets very often because they are more sensitive. But if somebody's asking for a quicksand rose, sometimes my wholesalers can't get them in, or sometimes they're not looking happy when I pick them up from the wholesaler. So I'm gonna make a substitution. I'm gonna use pink mondial, and pink mondial has a more brighter. It's like a pale pink, like
Mhm.
not so much blushy beige. But these are like I can't control the shades necessarily. Like we have to be flexible in that case.
Mhm.
So I like when clients are flexible because then I don't have that nervous feeling of no, they wanted quicksand roses and they don't my wholesaler doesn't have them. I don't have that feeling anymore. I'm like We have this plan,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And sometimes the plan doesn't go exactly the way it's supposed to, but that's okay. And I'm still going to make you something absolutely beautiful.
Yep. Yes. That ability to be nimble pays absolute dividends in all things Alaska elopements. Just roll with the punches. Just roll with the punches. I love it. So I'm going to just, side quest for a minute. Let's talk about wildflowers. I know we talked about picking wildflowers for a bouquet is not a sustainable option and it's logistically very, very challenging. But if you want to put yourself in a place where you can have nature provide you the wildflowers. Are there really good spots in Alaska to go to? And is there a special time of year where that's more likely to happen?
Yeah, I mean, early summer, you're not going to find a lot of wildflowers. It's too cold still. So I would say probably late June to like the third week of July, honestly. Like that's when you're going to find the lupin is still looking good. And you can get in certain parts of South Central Alaska, you can find fields of lupin. But then if you go in the late summer, that if you want fireweed, that's when you want to go looking for that. And that it's I mean, it's called fireweed for a couple of reasons. It grows like wildfire, but
Hmm.
also first thing to usually comes up after a wildflower fireweed comes out of the soil. You can find that usually like August is when the fireweed that's how you know summer's coming to an end is like the fireweed stalk is like a timeline. So if you start seeing the fluff at the top, you know summer's coming to an end because it's like the second week of August. And then by the end of August, all the flowers have gone and it's all there
Yeah.
fluff, but usually like late July to August, middle of August is when you're going to find fields of fireweed. And that's like in Homer, some parts of Homer and that part of Alaska, Kenai area. There's just, it's like the hillside is magenta. It's incredible. So
Okay.
yeah, you can make the wildflowers be part of your floral
Right.
experience, right? You just have
Yes.
to
You
know where
just
to,
go and put yourself in the place where the flowers are.
yeah,
And
I think
again,
that's
roll with the
a really great
punches
idea.
because who knows? It may be a late bloom. It may be got warm really early and things bloom faster and they're gone by the
Or
time
there
you
was
get
a
there.
windstorm and like lupin, all the thing can get destroyed in a windstorm. You know, it's, you just don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like added bonus if you find a wildflower field. It's so I think the biggest challenge is when a couple gets weathered out for several days, and that can be a real challenge because they've paid a great deal for these florals, but that's out of my hands. So now they
Hmm.
have flowers and they can't use them. So there have been a few times where I do my best to try to help them. Like, here's how to care for your flowers overnight or for several days. I made sure to incorporate flowers that last long on purpose
Hmm.
to help with that, but sometimes it really I mean, I really is out of my hands, and
Yeah.
there's not I can do. I did have a client once that got weathered out for 5 days. There's a special technique you can use for wearable flowers where you it's called, the hydration chamber, and it is a way
Hmm.
of storing flowers so that they stay hydrated out of water, and I took such good care of this crown that it you could not even tell 5 days later, it looked just as fresh, but it's also not something that I can guarantee, like, I mean, I
Right.
control how a flower is going to behave necessarily, so
Yeah.
that was a good success story that where it got delayed and they were still able to use it, and then other times where sometimes I make the stems a little bit longer on a bridal bouquet going out for an elopement because then you can keep cutting them shorter to because when you cut the stems, having a fresh cut makes water draw up more easily. So if you've taken a bouquet out of water for a long time, those stems have closed up on the bottom. So you need to cut before putting them back in the water. That way they can get hydrated again and last longer. I sometimes so for like the one that Junebug Weddings published, I
Hmm.
made that the stems of that longer on purpose so that you could
So we
keep
could
cutting.
cut them.
Yeah.
And fun fact, that elopement bouquet, that bridal bouquet, actually, our vase was a meltwater stream on the glacier. There was like this little tiny hole.
Awesome.
And so I have a picture of this bouquet just like blooming out of the glacier because
That's
that's
so
where it lived overnight in the natural outside refrigerator,
I
drinking
love that.
this fresh glacier water.
I always tell my clients my flowers have seen more of Alaska than I ever have in my entire life here. I would someday love to drink from a glacier.
Yes. Well, we'll bring you along, Natasha. We'll bring you along. I think that's actually a really beautiful segue. You were talking about the hydration chamber and being able to help. So you're based just outside of Anchorage, correct?
I am in Anchorage.
Okay.
So I think this is a common misconception or misunderstanding about Alaska is how far apart things really are. So I am located in the city of Anchorage. It's the biggest city. I'm located on the south side of Anchorage, which means I am technically closer to Girdwood,
Mhm.
Beluga Point, where a lot of people get married, but it is still going to a different city. It's driving to a different city. So I think what is complicated sometimes is people don't they maybe they put it into a map and it says the drive is 40 minutes to Palmer. Okay, like maybe in the lower 48, that's like 5 miles of traffic. I don't know. Right?
Right.
It's not long, but in Alaska, that's an entirely different city. Palmer, Hatcher Pass, Wasilla, even Eagle River, those are really, really long drives for me. And because I'm a part-time florist, I have another job,
Yeah.
I'm a mom, I don't have the capacity to deliver to these remote places. To me, they're
Yeah.
remote. So a lot of
Yeah.
these elopements are going out of Palmer or Talkeetna, and Talkeetna is a 2-hour drive for me.
Super far.
So I've had to like I feel terrible on my website. Like you go to my website and like you go to fill out the elopement form and it's like, "Stop. Before you fill out my form, check this box that you understand that I am located in Anchorage, which is a different city from these other places. These are
Yes.
not the same places because I can't deliver. I'm not able to deliver to those places."
Yeah.
So,
It is. And to further, like, support you in that, the distance is one of the things that people misunderestimate all the time. We'll just drive from here to here, or we'll do this and then go do this. That's literally a day's drive.
yeah,
So,
it's
yes,
different from
being
like
able to
it's like someone in LA asking me to deliver to Santa Barbara, right? I'm trying to think of like an example. Like
yes,
it's just like really, really far.
yeah,
It doesn't seem
yeah,
like it
it
is, but
is.
it is.
Yeah. And I was actually talking about this with I was talking with, Charity, who is Shearwater Cove in one of the other Alaska Tapes interviews, and the drive down to Seward is beautiful, but it's a drive, right?
It's
It's
dry.
like you're gonna go and you need to just go to Seward and stay in Seward for a few days. Don't go and then try and come back for after a night.
Or
Like, you're
don't
gonna
go
spend
and
your
then
whole trip driving.
don't think you can drive back to pick up the flowers, right? And that I am kind of like in a hub area, right? Like you land at the airport and I'm only like 10 minutes from the airport. So it is convenient. I do more often than not, I have clients pick up a day in advance, which is totally fine. If you have a fridge at home, you can, or at the place you're staying, you can keep your wearables, boutonnieres, crowns in a fridge. And then your flowers, you just keep them in the vase I provide in a cool, shady spot. Thankfully, Alaska's full of cool, shady spots. So, like, we have the opposite problem as the rest of the country. Like, we have to worry about flowers freezing in the winter, but we don't have to worry about flowers overheating too often. So,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very fine to just keep them. Like, if you got flowers delivered to you and you kept them on your kitchen table in the vase that came in, they would be fine the next day. A bridal
Right.
bouquet is treated the same way. So I
Yeah.
often have clients pick up the day in advance so that they can just continue their drive to Seward and not
Yeah.
have to come back.
Yes. And I think that is important is you can pick up and then go onward to your destination. But planning for that, make that part of your provisioning when you're in Anchorage. You're going to go to the Fred Meyer's and you're going to buy snacks and drinks and pick up your flowers from Natasha, and then you can get on the road.
And this is something that I've learned over the years. Like it took me time to figure out that I need to put that on my elopement form. What day are you wanting to pick up? Is it the day of your event or the day before? Because
Mhm.
so many times it's happened where the bride thinks, "Oh, I can just it turns out that we're driving a long way, so I can come by today, right?" And it's like, "No, I'm picking up your product today. I haven't even picked up your product. That's how fresh you want your flowers to be, is that I pick them up as close as possible to your event date. So I haven't designed your flowers yet. It's not like I'm keeping them in my cooler for, a couple of days. Like
Right.
I'm designing right before you pick up essentially.
Yeah.
So I am not always capable. Like sometimes I can scramble and make it happen, but there's sometimes where it's like, no, I don't have
You can't do that. I
work.
mean,
I have
and
my
that's
other
one of the
job.
things that I talk with my couples about too, is I mean, I'm a little bit different because my concierge aspect of what I do, I lots of times I'm doing the floral pickups. So I know that I will have told you that I need to pick it up a day or 2 days in advance depending on what we're doing. But for my couples or other couples that work with other photographers that are doing more of that DIY ordering and, working with you, like you cannot stress that enough. Do not give them your wedding day give them your pickup day. It may very well be the day before,
And
and
that's
if you
totally
give them
fine.
your wedding day,
It's not good.
yeah, it can be a challenge because if you've booked other floral or, bookings that have now filled the day before, it can get a little tricky. So, pro tip, if you're eloping and you have travel, give your florist, your cake baker, your anybody that you have to do a pickup for, give them your pickup date, which may very well be different than your actual wedding day. So, if you're used to filling out forms where it's asking you your wedding day, shove that aside.
That's
Pickup
why
date.
I've added now wedding day. What day are you picking
Pickup
up?
date.
Right? If
Yeah.
it's different from this day, you need to let me know.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
totally fine. And I have so many people pick up the day before, so
Yeah.
it works out.
Perfect. Okay. Thinking about Alaska, you've lived in Alaska for a long time, your lifetime. What is the one thing that people always like underestimate when they think about Alaska? We talked about travel and distance.
Maybe about how expensive things can be, just in
Okay.
general. So, an elopement bouquet, what I charge is typically $275 to $400 for an elopement bouquet with a boutonniere, and I think that's sticker shock for some people. Um, Although not necessarily. It depends. If you're getting married in New York City, the flowers are gonna be more expensive.
You can't get cake flowers for that much.
Yeah, it is sometimes a sticker shock, but in order for me to make a profit, I have to charge that amount. I'm not adding like a special fee because it's a wedding.
Hmm.
It's that I have to buy wholesale bunches of every single element in a bouquet, so that adds up. So I think the cost of living is a lot here, and the cost of groceries and cost of staying in a Airbnb, like all those things are probably more expensive than some other places. So I think that's probably something that people misunderstand. But I think another misunderstanding is the weather. Like
Mm,
it can get real crummy out. You can't control that, and, it makes me sad when people are so disappointed that it's raining, and it's like, "Okay, it rains a lot here, like, a lot."
yes.
And
Yeah.
also, your photos are gonna look amazing in the rain, even if you're sopping wet and your hair is wet, like, they're gonna look cool.
Yeah.
And
The
if it's
color, the
cloudy.
texture, the
Right,
richness, you can't substitute that any other way other than
right.
just being in the rain.
Right. Cloudy, even better. You got more even light for photos, right? So
Hmm.
it's like roll with the punches is kind of like embrace those imperfections because
Hmm.
you can't control the weather here, and to have this sort of, I hate to say naivete that it's going to be beautiful. Yes, Alaska is beautiful no matter how you look at it, but sometimes you're socked in and you don't get that epic view of Denali behind you, but that's okay. You find your other nooks and crannies that you can get photos of and it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. And Denali is only visible like 23% of the time. So if you see Denali, go buy a lotto ticket because you just hit the jackpot.
I saw Denali today on my
You
drive home,
did?
my delivery. It was really wonderful. I thought, 'cause my husband is up in Fairbanks right now, and he sent me a video from the plane. I'm like, "Great, yeah, you saw it from the plane." I'm like, "Okay." So then I'm driving home today. I'm like,
Well,
"I
that's the
got."
only way to get above the clouds sometimes.
It was so gorgeous. Like it takes my breath away, and I have grown up here.
Yeah. I have such a love-hate with Denali. I have tried and tried and tried. And like any couple that wants to elope to Denali, I think you should. There's so many beautiful places around it, but Talkeetna is actually not close to Denali, to
It
the
is so far.
national park. So despite what AI may tell you, you it's a real trip. It's like almost 2 hours to get to the front door of the national park from Talkeetna. So if you're basing in Talkeetna, right? Another conversation, I'll go off on a tangent some other time. But I have been weathered out so many times. I have
Oh no!
never seen Denali. Never.
Oh no! And I
I
just told
keep
you that's
trying
summer.
every time. Almost every time I come to Alaska, I will tack on 3 days and try and go back up to Denali, and I'll just sit and wait at the coffee shop in Talkeetna so that I can, go see Denali, but we're trying. But it's
Well,
beautiful, you can't go wrong, and to your point, it doesn't matter what happens because everything around you is beautiful. Sure,
it's
you
a
can't see the summit of Denali, but the hanging clouds, gorgeous. The texture of the trees in the valley, stunning.
The
right? The
alpenstone.
river, amazing. Like, there are just so many things that I think that's the magic of Alaska. You just really have to be open to putting yourself in a place where magical things can happen, and then just being grateful for all the things that unfold before you.
Oh, yeah. There's so much nature here, and it's even in Anchorage, it's something I really love about this city is I can drive 3 minutes and be in nature.
Yeah,
It's really amazing, and I try not to take it for granted, and I have a couple of
yeah,
spots here in Alaska that I just love.
yeah. Well, we're jealous of your home. I know it comes with, challenges and other things, but it is a truly beautiful place. Anything else that you would want couples who are considering eloping in Alaska to know?
Let me think. Just that, just being able to alter your expectations, I guess. Like, we've already stated that. Just be
Mhm.
flexible. That's just really a good mantra to have. That's your biggest path to success.
Yeah, agree. Okay, so we're going to close and a bit of rapid fire here
Okay.
because we want to know a little bit more about you. So, describe your Alaska in 3 words.
Mm, wild, breathtaking, remote.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So, I know you said your florals have seen quite a bit of the state. Do you have a favorite hidden gem spot in the state that you feel like revealing? If you don't
Yeah.
want to, that's okay.
So my favorite spot is also my husband's favorite place in Alaska, and it's in Seward. It's Lowell Point. So you, like, basically take the main drag down Seward, then you take a right, and you just at the end of the street, and you just drive until you're at the end, and it's just this tucked away beach. It's so beautiful, and if you go there in, like, the fall, like September, October, there's jellyfish everywhere on the beach, and it's, like, just so incredible. That's so
Wow.
beautiful. It's so beautiful. Also, if you have the chance to go to Kodiak Island, that
Okay.
is the most spectacular part of Alaska.
Okay.
It's it's so
Where is
beautiful.
Kodiak?
So that's, like it's, like, the biggest island, and it's kinda, like, southwest of Anchorage, and, it's it's breathtaking. It's like a rainforest there. It's the
Mm,
greenest green, and it's, you do get a lot of bad weather, but on the good weather days, it's just unbelievable.
amazing. Okay. Kodiak Island, noted. And Alaska actually has temperate rainforest, which is another thing that a lot of people don't think about.
It's southeast, right?
The Southeast coming up, the band coming up through Juneau along the coast out to Seward. And there is that one little pocket hidden in Girdwood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you go to what is it, Virgin Creek Falls,
Virgin
which
Creek
is
Falls is that
the
temperate
best
rainforest.
hike you can ever go on. They call it a hike, and I actually never went out there until this summer. I'd never even thought to venture out. I'm like, "Well, I guess we'll check it out." It's like a 2-minute walk.
A 2-minute walk. It is
Yeah,
so
this,
close.
like, spectacular waterfall, and my florals have been there many, many times, and I'm
Yes.
just so glad I happen to be in Girdwood. I'm like, "Okay, I'll just check it out," and I'm like, "Okay, why haven't I
Yes.
been here before?"
Yeah. I had a couple who did a destination wedding type of experience with their treasured few, and they did their family ceremony at the falls, but we actually ended up going further back, and maybe I'm giving away secrets, but I'm here to spread the love. There is a heart-shaped boulder if you go back further along the creek and Virgin Creek.
I'm
It's
gonna have
huge, and it literally is a heart shape. It couldn't be more perfect. So, if you're looking for Virgin Creek Falls, go and then keep going, and you'll find the heart boulder. And
okay, I'm
that's
gonna go look
where,
for that next time.
yeah, Kim and Ash were married there, and it was beautiful. So, super cool. Okay, let's see. What's a moment in nature that lives rent free in your brain?
Well, I grew up here in my backyard playground was Glen Alps, which people know as
Mm,
Flat Top. Mm. We
yeah.
never went to Flat Top. My family and I would go to a different part of the park, of Chugach State Park, that nobody ever goes to, and we forage mushrooms. We forage wild mushrooms that are edible, which I don't recommend anybody do. So you just like, don't just go out there and look for mushroom. Like, really go with somebody who's an expert. And
Right.
that's the moment in nature that lives rent free in my head all the time, is if I'm ever feeling anxious or unsettled, I close my eyes and I think about the walk from the parking lot of the park and how I know every twist and turn to this hike because I've gone on it since I was a baby.
Oh,
It's about a 45-minute walk. It's
yeah.
there's these magical special spots along that trail, and, you end up going down this steep hill to get back down to the main trail where there's this valley where there's usually always snow. I mean, even well into August, there's still a little bit of snow, and that's always the bet. It's like, "Okay, is there gonna be snow still?" And then, as you're coming down the hill, you look to the left, and there's this little valley where there must be more like, some kind of a nutrient trail there, where there's more nutrients or different nutrients in the
Mhm.
soil because it's this trail of wildflowers that don't grow anywhere else on the
Wow.
and they're all mountain asters, like, these little purple flowers, and
Yeah.
it looks like a fairy trail, like a fairy flew up and like Fern Gully planted flowers as it flew,
The
and then
sprinkle of the dust as they
you keep
fly.
walking, and on the right, you go off to this special little trail on the right, and it's like the avenue of monkshood and wild delphinium, and it's all dark purple and blue. Don't touch the monkshood, it's toxic. But you just go I mean, these are the memories in my head that I think of when I'm trying to be calm. It's like my monk zen
Yeah.
day.
I love it. Okay. All right. And last question. A lot of folks who might be listening to this are travelers or thinking about traveling. So is there one thing that you never travel without?
I guess it depends. Are you talking about, like, as a just a traveler in general or as a florist?
Ooh, can I get a twofer?
Sure. As a florist, definitely zip ties. Like,
Okay.
it's come in handy for everything. But as a regular traveler, if I'm like, I bring a floppy drain plug with me. So, like
Mm,
the rubbery drain plug, because
yeah.
a lot of hotels and places that I've stayed, they like you can't plug the sink very well, and sometimes I want to wash something. So
Yeah.
I put the floppy drain plug in the sink and can make it into a basin to wash stuff, my clothes.
That is such a good idea.
It
Hell
saved
yes.
me in Europe because, like, all the hostels I stayed at in Europe, they just had a hole in the bottom of the sink, right? So and, like, I'm living on the cheap in my mid-20s, and I'm like, I can't I can't afford a laundromat. I gotta wash my own clothes."
Right? I love that. That is such a good idea. And then once you wash your clothes in the sink, my tip, if I can add on to that, is if you have extra towels or you carry a quick dry towel specifically for this, lay the towel out, lay the clothes once you've wrung them out as best you can, lay them in the towel, and then roll the towel up with the clothes in it, and then wring the towel like this
Oh, that's
as much
interesting.
as you can. And then the towel will help pull even more moisture out of the clothes, so they're more likely to dry when you hang them in the hotel room.
That's great advice. That's what I'm a knitter, and that's what I do to block my sweaters. That's the same exact thing I do.
See? Many, many purposes. You are super creative because you're a copywriter as well?
Yeah, so, like, I went to school for journalism, and so that's, like, the other part of my brain is I do copywriting, copy editing, social media management, so that's, like, the first half of my day, and then the second half of my day is the different creative part of my brain, so it's a really good balance.
I love that. I love that. Natasha, this has been amazing. Thank you so, so much for sharing your gifts with all of our eloping couples and sharing so many insights here today. Y'all go watch, listen to the podcast. It is so fun. You'll learn a lot, I promise. But thank you so much. And I cannot wait to see you the next time because I know you'll be holding beautiful gifts for me. And I love that.
Well, it's been a pleasure, thank you for this opportunity.